What's good, Josh? Your boy King Barracuda. Welcome to Straight Convo. So recently, Myron Gaines, he was on the Piers Morgan show, and he was going in on black people as usual. They were discussing black issues, and he typically has nothing good to say about the black community. So I'm gonna give my thoughts and my reaction to the video. Let me know what y'all think. We're gonna get right into it.
Anybody, she is admitting it proudly. Even you can't defend that, surely.
Everybody is racist to some degree. The reality is, it depends on, a lot of people want to be politically correct. A lot of people want to sit there and say, I'm not racist at all. We all have biases. We all have stereotypes. We all make jokes. We all are racist to some degree. Now, how racist you
I'm gonna have to stop it right there because that is not true. That's completely false. To say everybody is racist is a stretch because there's people that's not going out their way to target or harm other people. You know what I'm saying? There's not people that's going out their way to oppress or to exclude other groups of people. Everybody's mindset is not that. You know what I'm saying? That's not based on facts. That's based on opinion because you can't prove everybody has this mentality. So right there, you're completely wrong. No, the reason why so many people have this mentality is because America was built off of racism, and this new society and this world was formed off of white supremacy and off the foundation of race. So this is why everybody walks around with so much emphasis on race. It's because this new world was formed off of it.
are is a whole other situation, but everyone is racist. That's number one. Next thing I want to say, see, I think this Shiloh Hendrickson Metcalf situation is a microcosm of a much bigger problem. And that bigger problem is what I call systemic organized. And what I mean by this is for decades, we've had black people literally running around with black supremacy, committing crimes, not getting accountability for their actions, and then they blame the system for it. For example.
All right. So he said there's black supremacists now running around getting into crimes and not getting punished for. You mean like Jim Crow? Yeah. You mean when we had no rights and we couldn't walk in certain communities, or we couldn't be out past a certain time, or we'll go to jail, get kidnapped, or get raped, or get, killed? You mean like laws where we couldn't look at a white woman for 3-4 seconds? We had to walk with our heads down. These laws been implemented for decades. The system of white supremacy and racism has been targeting blacks for decades, but I don't see the opposite. So where are these black people committing all these crimes? Because there's crime in white communities, there's crime in Asian communities, Hispanic community. Where is the talk about these other crimes or the crime in general? Because guess what? Blacks were being arrested 5 times more than any other race during Jim Crow, and we weren't committing any, crime. We weren't harming people. There was no such thing as black on black crime during that time. But guess what? We were getting arrested for being in the wrong neighborhood, for, talking bad to a white man, or, crazy stuff like that. And then we were being accused of raping white women. They would lie on us, and then because they couldn't find whoever did it, they would just walk into a black community and just start killing random black people and running them out of towns based off a lie. So there's extensive history and evidence that proves otherwise. But when it comes to black people just committing crime, when we 8 times more, we're convicted wrongly 8 times more than any other race, and we're arrested more than any other race, and we're over policed than any other race. It's crazy.
George Floyd, criminal. Ferguson, criminals. Freddie Gray, criminal. A lot of these people are criminals, and what ends up happening is they challenge the police officer, they get into a physical altercation, things go left, they die.
And I wouldn't necessarily call George Floyd a criminal. Somebody that walk in the store and steal something $10, $20, $50 is not a criminal. Yeah, he might be a thief. You know what I'm saying? But you can't just label somebody a criminal that doesn't have a record. Now, if he's like active, if he's in the criminal world in 10 years, just all he does is crime, yes, he's a criminal. His money, everything he does, he gets from crime, he's labeled a criminal. But petty stuff like stealing, you just can't label, because if you want to be honest, everybody get their hands dirty, and you know, nobody's clean in society. Everybody done something wrong, you know, and possibly it could have landed them in jail, but they haven't been caught. So the thing is, to label somebody a criminal, that doesn't equate to taking somebody's life over a petty crime, something that's small like that. Then I guess we all should get killed over some bullshit, because we all did some petty shit. And guess what? Poor people do petty crime, and rich people do bigger crime. You know what I'm saying? Because they got the money and they have the power to throw things under the rug.
Something happens, use of force is utilized, and then they want to cry about the result. When in reality, it's not the police killing black people, it's black people killing black people. And if you want to talk about black on white violence, black people kill white people 2 times as much. And on top of
where is they getting the statistics from? Black people kill white people 2 times as much. Based on what context? Because now you're trying to make it seem like there's innocent black people going around targeting whites, and that never been the history. It always been the opposite. So where is your data? Because we, like I said before, we have extensive amount of evidence that proves otherwise, that whites have been targeting us. What do you think slavery was? It was Europeans going over to Africa, innocently taking Africans and bringing them to America and forcing them into servitude. And then throwing them out, not giving them anything, no resources, no money. And guess what? Italians got reparations, Irish got reparations, Jews got reparations, Japanese. And, you know, the worst atrocity that was ever committed happened to African people, black people, and we don't get 1 cent. In fact, they just threw us out without anything, and we use our skills to build up our own communities, and then they targeted and destroyed those communities. They bombed it. You know, they went in shooting, killing people. So this is not victim mentality. These are facts. And the new white supremacy now and the new racism now is gaslighting, making it seem like your reality is not true. You know what I'm saying? And you're just being a victim and you're just complaining. When you start exposing these races and showing them for who they are and speaking truth and facts, they want to label you these things, but they never want to come and combat you with facts or evidence. They always just want to label you things and give you titles. But when it's time to have real discussions, they know where to be found, because you know the proof, the history doesn't lie. And this is why history is important. That's why they want to erase history, because they don't want you to know what's really going on.
For that, most of the shootings in America, a lot of the times, are white cops killing other unarmed white men. So this whole systemic racism or police brutality, or, oh, it's all so messed up. The reality is this. Black people have been able to get away with a ridiculous amount of privilege in America for a very long time. They're able to be racist.
This guy is crazy.
Call white people crackers without being challenged back. And quite frankly, white America's had...
He said we're able to call white people crackers. First of all, yo, this is crazy. Cracker was a racial slur in defense of the N-word. There's no lynchings behind the word cracker. There's no innocent people being killed or slaughtered behind the word cracker. There's no genocide behind the word cracker. There's nothing. It was just a defense mechanism used because we were being called. And guess what? The N-word, we have all of that violence behind it. We have the genocide. We have the slavery. We have the Jim Crow. We have the systematic oppression. These are facts. And then every time you talk about it, they get upset. They want you to stop talking about these things, but they don't want to stop doing what they're doing. They think black people here in America are not fed up. If you're fed up because we are defending ourselves, guess how we feel? We're even more fed up.
Enough of it, and the chickens have come to roost. Now, look, am I saying that's awesome? Am I saying that's great? No, but for literally the better part of almost 2 decades since the Obama era, we've had to have BLM and liberalism shoved down our throats, and quite frankly, we're all tired of it.
Right, but just to be clear, you would have no problem with one member of this panel openly saying she uses the N-word at black people with impunity and is proud of being a racist. You have no problem with that.
My worldview on the protection of the First Amendment and freedom of speech overrides my personal feelings. She has the right to say
That's
it.
fine. You can support the First Amendment, but you can also have a personal view about what she said.
My feelings are irrelevant. The Constitution is the Constitution. That's what matters.
Oh, that's fascinating.
You know, Myron's full of shit. And you know, the thing is, I believe Myron was doing well when he was talking about the feminists and the women thing. You know, he has some really good points, but as far as race, he is terrible. You know, he is one side, and it's obvious that he's biased, you know, and he's just trying to pander to one side, you know.
Hold on. So when it comes to chastising black Americans about their behavior, about calling white people crackers, as you say, about their moral claims, about the racist system, you can levy a judgment against black Americans for all the things they do. But when it comes to this woman saying the N-word and this other woman endorsing it and saying that she herself uses the N-word, now all of a sudden we can only talk about the Constitution and the legal right. We can't offer any moral judgment against it. That's disingenuous. And it's as the only black American up here, that's quite frustrating to hear.
If you want to be soft and get offended by that, that's your fucking problem, not mine.
Let me ask Ricky. Ricky.
This isn't about being soft any more than when you were desperately saving these white people.
Hold on. This sensitive nature that you have is precisely why we have this problem.
It's not about being sensitive. It's about I didn't articulate. Hold on. Let me finish, Myron. Let me speak and then I'll let you respond. Myron, I didn't articulate any sensitivity here. What I said, in the same way that you levied a judgment against black people, I'm levying one against the claims you're making. I'm no more sensitive than you were when you made your claim. I'm simply saying I disagree with you. And to immediately jump
all right, I'm gonna stop it right here. But listen, I want to show y'all a few things that I pulled up. So they always want to talk about black issues and stuff like that. And when we look at the FBI, they always want to talk about the FBI crime statistics. So when you look at, okay, yeah, blacks and black community, it is high. We do have an issue. Every community. There's no such thing as black on black crime. That's a myth. When you're around white people, when white people around white people, they're going to have high amounts of crime. Asians, they're going to have high amounts of crime. You know what I'm saying? They created these racial stereotypes specifically for blacks to make it seem like we're alienated from everybody. We're isolated from everybody. And, you know, we have this special case. When you look at the numbers, it's not. Because whites is high in a lot of categories. You know, look at burglary. You know, even when you calculate the percentage, it's still not far off. You look at burglary, extremely high in motor vehicle theft. Property crime. These things are extremely high, and this is the white community. Now, what a white people excuse when they haven't gone through all of these things black people gone through? They haven't been systematically oppressed. They have no oppressors. So why their crime are so high? And of course, it goes by the population. But this is a conversation, man, because nobody wants to speak truth. They just want to sit up here. And now when we actually do the research, these numbers are high in every category when you compare the population to the crime. You know, Asian, Indian. So there's a problem with crime in general. But do not try to put that on one group. Now, police say 85% of group-based pedophiles are white. So why is this not a big issue in the white community? You know what I'm saying? This is what concerns me. You know, they always want to talk about black issues, but there's a significant issue going on in the white community, and where's the media? Why is the media not talking about this? You know, so you can research it yourself. Child abuse. Whites are significantly higher than any other race. This is 2022. So I don't know what entails, everything that entails in the child abuse, but obviously it's probably physical, emotional, all of that stuff. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, when you start watching and you start researching, you realize how full of shit these people are, and they go, you know, live on camera and talk a whole bunch of bullshit to try to throw you off on who's the real problem. You know what I'm saying? But anyway, let me know what y'all think about this video. Like, subscribe, comment. It's your boy King Barracuda. Straight combo. I'm out.